My next guest this morning is no stranger to our airwaves. He is Dr. Nathaniel Cogley, the Assistant Professor of Political Science and Head of the Department at Tarleton State University. And we are going to be talking about this Hillary Clinton versus Tulsi Gabbard as the gloves came off over the weekend between the two of them. And Dr. Cogley, thank you so much for your time again. We certainly appreciate you being able to join us, and we're looking forward to having you with us each Monday here on First News on 570.
Good morning, Mark. Thanks for having me back.
So this thing over the weekend, obviously this kind of came out of nowhere from someone who is not running for the 2020 nomination and somebody who is running for the 2020 nomination. And I'm just wondering, this doesn't really fare out all that well for what's going on with the kind of the inner rifts in the Democratic Party, does it?
Well, I took the time to listen to the whole podcast. This came up on David Plouffe's podcast, and David Plouffe helped run he ran the Obama campaign in 2008,
right?
And he was interviewing Hillary Clinton. So this was a hyper-partisan interviewing another hyper-partisan, and she was able to get away with a lot of statements throughout this interview that were unchallenged by the person. And she basically was, claiming she was the rightful winner of the election and that everything was against her and things like that. This came up in the context of her claiming that Trump, basically cheated to win by having a third-party candidate in Jill Stein, and that he's going to set up to do that again. But I can make a total counter-prediction to Hillary Clinton. Tulsi Gabbard will not run a third-party campaign. Tulsi Gabbard is a Democratic representative out of Hawaii. She has a home seat to defend.
Right.
And there's absolutely no way that she runs third party. This is just very bad political analysis by Hillary Clinton.
Well, and that's, and Tulsi Gabbard came out on Friday night. She obviously did not wait too long to come out and respond to this. But you mentioned it in your first statement there that Tulsi Gabbard was also not the only one who was singled out in that. She also claimed that Jill Stein was working for the Russians.
She claims everyone's working for the Russians except Gary Johnson, who actually helped her out, right? So she's having it every which way that she can. I know you mentioned that this could be a little vindictive, as Tulsi Gabbard in 2016 played a role in complaining about the process in the Democratic Party and throwing her weight behind Bernie Sanders. But if that's the case, it's so petty because Hillary Clinton beat Bernie Sanders. Right. She was the nominee of the party. She had the platform to run for president. And Tulsi Gabbard is actually an impressive individual on some levels. She was a state representative at the age of 21. She withdrew from that to serve tours in Iraq and in Kuwait, and then she became a member of the House of Representatives at the age of 32. She's a very impressive individual. She's articulate, and some reason, Hillary's out to bring her down. And it probably has to do with the non-interventionist message of the Tulsi Gabbard campaign, a la the Ron Paul campaign in the Republican Party in 2008, which was a smaller campaign but had a lot of support behind it because of that clear non-interventionist message.
So does this help Tulsi or hurt Tulsi?
I think it's going to give Tulsi some attention. It's going to allow her to raise funds and campaign. Right. Tulsi's response wasn't exactly accurate. Tulsi's response, criticized Hillary Clinton, Queen of Warmongers, but then said, "It's now down between you and me. Why don't you get in? We're clearly the final two." And of course, both of them are long shots.
Right. I was going to say there's like 26 other people in between those two that also want this. I thought one of the interesting parts of what I noticed over the weekend was some of the other candidates that were running. They did not seem to want to be wading into the water of this for the most part. Pete Buttigieg, he just basically flat out refused to answer the question on whether or not he thought Tulsi Gabbard was a Russian asset. And there were others who came out. Andrew Yang said, this is ridiculous. She deserves more respect than this. Kind of an interesting split on, with candidates on how they feel and whether or not they're going to respond.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be much other people claiming, she's a quote-unquote Russian asset, which is very unfair. But she really pushes them on that non-interventionist policy in the Middle East. She highlights it as much as possible. Right. She pushes it. And this is clearly an issue that the Democrats have division on now. There was a moment in time where we had a Bush administration that was rather aggressive and Democrats saying we should get out. And now here it is. Trump's actually campaigned on getting troops out, is getting some troops out, and you could see on the stage how divided they were on that issue. And even the candidates such as Tulsi Gabbard and Elizabeth Warren, who say we should get out of the Middle East, didn't even want to give Trump credit for doing so, but they had a clear position, whereas Buttigieg and a Biden seem much more aggressive in the Middle East.
My guest this morning, Dr. Nathaniel Cogley, Assistant Professor of Political Science and Head of the Department at Tarleton State University. And Professor, we certainly appreciate it. We'll look forward to catching up with you bright and early next Monday.
Thanks so much, Mark.
You got to take care.